At 26, the family who had abandoned me 16 years ago suddenly stood at my door as if no time had passed. Their return didn't just shock me, it fractured something inside me. I felt like I was looking at ghosts from a life that no longer belonged to me. I was the eldest of 3 children. Once upon a time, we were a normal, happy family. My siblings were 3 and 5 years younger than me, and our days were filled with shared meals, movie nights, and laughter that echoed through the house. I truly believed nothing could break us. Then my father lost his job when I was 9. He was blamed for something he hadn't done and dismissed without warning. Overnight, everything changed. My mother, who worked at a school, struggled to carry the weight of supporting us all. The tension in our home thickened, and the warmth I once knew slowly faded. Eventually, my parents decided I would live with my grandparents just until things improved. They said it was temporary. They said it was practical. I tried to be brave about it. That summer at my grandparents' farm felt like an adventure. I helped feed the animals, ran through open fields, and told myself this was just a short detour before returning home. I had no idea I was saying goodbye to my childhood as I knew it. When school season approached, my parents promised they were arranging a new home. I waited eagerly for their call. A few extra days turned into weeks. Weeks stretched into months. My calls went unanswered. Their reassurances became silence. Confusion turned into fear. Fear turned into anger. I asked my grandparents what was happening, but they claimed to know nothing. Desperate, I tried filing a missing persons report, convinced something terrible must have happened. My grandparents dismissed it as childish drama and punished me for it. That was the moment I began to understand I was on my own. I begged them to at least let me continue my education. They enrolled me in a local public school. The adjustment was painful. I felt displaced, forgotten, invisible, but I buried myself in my studies, telling myself that one day I would leave that farm and find the truth. Then one evening, everything shifted. I overheard my grandmother speaking in hushed tones on the phone. I froze when I recognized the voice on the other end. My mother. She was alive. They spoke about me, my grades, my behavior, my life, as if I weren't just a room away. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst. Without thinking, I rushed forward and shouted into the phone. Mom. The silence that followed was deafening. I screamed and cried, begging her to answer me, shaking the receiver as if I could force her voice back through it. But there was nothing, just emptiness. My grandmother stormed out, her face tight with anger and something else, guilt. Maybe. She ordered me to my room. I refused. I demanded answers. Why had she hidden this from me? Why wouldn't anyone tell me the truth? She said nothing. That silence hurt more than any words could have. Not long after that incident, my grandparents sent me away again, this time to a distant aunt who lived 5 hours from the farm. No explanation, no closure, just another relocation, like I was excess baggage. I never understood why my parents had chosen to let me go so easily. My aunt, my mother's cousin, was nothing like the others. She welcomed me without hesitation. When I asked her about my parents, she admitted she didn't know the full story, and for the first time in years, I believed someone. At 13, I finally felt safe. She became my anchor. When grief overwhelmed me, she listened. When anger consumed me, she guided me. She encouraged me to try therapy, even when I resisted. Slowly, I began to untangle the mess inside my head. She validated feelings my grandparents had dismissed for years. By the time I graduated high school, she wasn't just my aunt, she was my parent in every way that mattered. Inspired by her, I pursued veterinary medicine. At 21, I handed her adoption papers. I wanted it official. I wanted her to choose me the way I had chosen her. She signed them with tears in her eyes. For the first time, I belonged somewhere. After finishing my degree, I began working as an intern at a hospital, building my career and moving into my own apartment. I still visited her often, but I was finally standing on my own feet. Then, 2 days ago, my past came knocking. I opened the door expecting a delivery. Instead, I found my mother, my father, and my youngest brother staring back at me. They looked older, worn, and yet unmistakable. I couldn't speak. They handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter from my grandparents. According to them, I had run away years ago. I had cut contact. I had caused them emotional suffering. And now, as a doctor, I was expected to fund my brother's education. If I refused, they threatened legal action. The audacity left me speechless. I hadn't run away. I had been sent away, discarded, forgotten. And now they wanted money? 16 years of silence, and this was their return? I told them no, firmly, calmly. When they refused to leave, I called the police. They insisted they were my parents. I informed the officers that legally, I was my aunt's daughter. The police contacted her, and she confirmed it. My biological family received a warning for trespassing and harassment. But it didn't end there. Since that day, they've flooded my social media with messages, calling me heartless, ungrateful, cold. I told my aunt everything. She supports me, yet gently asked if I was certain I'd made the right choice. As if the universe wanted to test me further, my parents showed up at my workplace yesterday, creating a scene in the hospital lobby. Security had to escort them out. The police were called again. And now I'm left wondering, why do they want me now? And why does a small, wounded part of me still care? I couldn't understand why the family who had erased me from their lives for 16 years suddenly wanted to be part of mine. The emotional weight of it all pressed down on me in ways I hadn't expected. My therapist encouraged me to speak with them, to at least hear them out, but every instinct in me resisted. Eventually, for my own peace of mind, I agreed to meet them, with my aunt by my side. What they told me shattered whatever fragile curiosity I had left. They claimed they sent me to my grandparents because of financial hardship, one less child to feed, one less expense. When their situation improved, they said they still couldn't afford to bring me home. And now, with their savings depleted, they believed it was my responsibility to help them, to fund my brother's needs and support them financially. The legal threats? Fabricated. A manipulation tactic. They thought fear and guilt would force me into compliance. Every word felt like glass lodging deeper into my chest. But I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I simply reminded them that legally and emotionally, they had relinquished me long ago. If they ever showed up at my home or workplace again, I would pursue legal action. They asked for forgiveness. I walked away. My therapist later suggested I might be struggling to access empathy, but the truth is, there was nothing to access. I felt no attachment, no longing. If I could erase them from my memory entirely, I would. Since that meeting, they've stopped contacting me. On my end, life has continued moving forward. I've completed my internship and am considering another residency before sitting for the NUVLE. I'm building a future that belongs to me, not one shaped by abandonment. Sometimes, if I'm honest, I wish I'd had parents who loved me properly, but I don't dwell there. I have my aunt. She chose me. She raised me. She is my mother in every way that matters, and a far better one than the woman who gave birth to me. They abandoned me, lied to me, and left me behind. I owe them nothing. I only returned what they gave. As if one complicated family story wasn't enough, my life came with another. My sister-in-law and I have always had a strained relationship. I'm 29. She's 26. I thought time would mature her. I was wrong. I met my husband while he was helping her move. A casual conversation at a bar turned into 6 years of love, partnership, and eventually marriage. From the beginning, she made it clear she didn't approve. She warned me her brother never gets serious. I braced myself for heartbreak. Instead, we built a beautiful life together. His parents and extended family have always treated me warmly, which makes her hostility even more confusing. 2 years ago, at our wedding, she threw a tantrum because I didn't ask her to be a bridesmaid. After emotional manipulation and unnecessary drama, I relented. She showed up in a white floral dress. At my wedding, my in-laws forced her to change and warned her about future consequences. She apologized, and I hoped that chapter was closed. It wasn't. When I became pregnant, I was overjoyed. Everyone else shared our excitement, except her. She constantly redirected conversations back to herself, emphasizing how hard her pregnancy had been as a single mother and how lucky I was. Then she offered to host my baby shower. At first, I was touched, until she insisted on holding it 12,000 miles away at a luxury resort owned by her friend. Something felt wrong. My husband reassured me I was overthinking it. We flew there, The moment I walked into the venue, I knew. Pink and blue decorations filled the room, but so did unfamiliar faces. Then I saw another pregnant woman wearing the exact same white dress my sister-in-law had gifted me. It wasn't my baby shower. She had tricked us into attending her friend's event, using me as some twisted prop. Humiliation burned through me. I left in tears. My husband confronted her immediately. When his parents found out, they were furious. They had been financially supporting her boutique for years. After this stunt, they cut her off completely. She blamed me. I never asked them to do that. She orchestrated her own downfall. She isn't destitute. She owns a boutique. She can adjust her lifestyle. If her son were ever truly in need, I know my in-laws would step in, but she refuses to take accountability. My husband has been unwavering. He told me I never have to forgive her. He apologized for not drawing firmer boundaries sooner. My mother-in-law later organized a genuine baby shower, intimate, joyful, exactly what I had hoped for. And then, of course, she crashed it. She found out through social media and arrived uninvited, shouting that her parents had money for a lavish party for me but not for her. She accused me of being unworthy. She caused a scene in front of everyone. This time, my mother-in-law personally escorted her out. Afterward, my in-laws apologized repeatedly and even suggested a restraining order. We've since decided to keep everything about the baby offline to prevent further drama. It's exhausting how jealousy can twist someone so deeply. She ruined 2 baby showers out of spite. I understand she still carries resentment from her own pregnancy. When her parents initially disapproved because she was unmarried, they eventually embraced her and their grandson. But clearly the bitterness never left her. I haven't heard from her since. My in-laws are considering cutting her off permanently. And honestly, I no longer care what happens between them. I just want peace. I'm done letting her chaos take up space in my mind. My focus is my child, my marriage, and the life we're building. She revealed exactly who she is. And I refuse to let her steal another moment from me.